Okay. How you guys doing?
Good. Your hand hurting?
My hand, no. My ring, we left it on shortly. I felt like it was almost too nice to even wear. But no, it was, last night was a really special night to be able to celebrate what's definitely the most special year I've been a part of in coaching. And, it really is all about the people. And you're reminded of that was what was right about our team. There was a purpose, most importantly, that they wanted to play for each other and different things like that. And to be able to celebrate that, it was a really special thing. I also think it was kind of good timing because now it represents, let's turn the page, let's not minimize what a great year last year was, but that's not going to have anything to do with this year. And so I know our players, coaches are really excited about getting going, attacking things one day at a time. And, with that, I'll let you guys start with questions.
Sean, are you expecting anyone to go on pub? And if so, are you able to take us through that?
Yeah, so I'm going to get with Reggie and his group, really right after this. But, just with the dialogue that we've had, Jordan, Traven Howard is a guy that he actually pulled his groin pretty good, doing some training on his own. May or may not require surgery, but he's a guy that would definitely be a candidate for PUP. Other than that, there's nobody that really comes right to mind.
So not even Jalen, even at that point?
The thing with Jalen is you want to see what the timetable is, because there are some parameters where you lose the ability to do certain things you might want to, but that's definitely going to be a topic we'll discuss this afternoon. But he's doing good. I mean, he's been attacking the rehab the right way. He's feeling good. And, when we did do that surgery on him, obviously, most importantly was how he felt about it. But then with the goal in mind of, all right, attack the rehab the right way, and most importantly, be ready for September 8th, ready to go. And so we'll be smart about that progress for him.
What do you need to see from him to make sure he is ready for September 8th?
I think it's going to be, a long process, but a lot of it is the feedback from him. And then, when he has to really use that shoulder, just some of the different things where it's stressed. It's hard to truly simulate some of those things because you don't ever really go live in practice settings. But I think a lot of it will depend on how he's feeling. And then obviously the doctor's giving him the full clearance.
What is the status of contract extension talks? What's your situation?
Yeah, so we're in a good place. I think the goal in mind, when you guys had talked to Kevin about that, Gary, was myself and Les being a pair where when we get that thing finalized, you guys will know, but feel really good about the direction that that's going. And I think it'll be something that where it'll be me and Les, and you guys will know when that is finalized for us.
Would you anticipate that happens before season opener?
I would, I wouldn't want to put a timetable on it, but I'd say, more than likely. But again, these things can kind of drag on, as we all know. But I do feel really good about the direction and all the conversations that have been had, as it relates to myself and Les.
Sean, talking about moving forward from the season, how much does you enjoy bring the team to the target on that?
I think every team, if you're performing at a high level, Claudia, has a target on their back, if you will. That's something that, you're not naive to because, we won last year. But I think a lot of these teams know it's a brand new year. We won it last year, but everybody's undefeated now. And so we're going to just take the right steps one day at a time. I think you embrace the opportunity to be somebody that people care about covering. That's a thing that we always enjoy. We talk about it all the time. Pressure is a privilege. But I think we've got the right kind of guys that have the humility and understand that confidence is earned every single day by the way they work.
You have a little bit of a shorter offseason having played in the Super Bowl. How's the team doing physically, mentally, and what's the goal of training camp?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think a lot of it is predicated on, once we get the guys in here tomorrow and then start to really work with them, getting a feel for how their bodies are recovering. It's about 160 days or so since we had played, and you do want to be smart because there was a lot of guys that were banged up. But the goal to me, when you really look at it, we always talk about it, and it'll pretty much remain the same. We want to be able to establish our culture, our football philosophy, most importantly, come together as a team. And then our job as coaches as it relates to that process and that planning is making sure that we get our guys healthy and ready to go for September 8th. There's a lot of things that take place in between then. We are going to be one day at a time, but you guys know how we approach the preseason. It's a great opportunity for a lot of younger guys to get to compete in full speed settings, but those guys that you project as people we're counting on, nothing's changing. We're not playing them in the preseason. And so that's that's kind of what we believe. It might not be for everybody, but that's how we feel like is best for our team.
Is Stafford going to throw from the outset, or what's his...
Yeah, he's feeling good. He's been able to do a lot of things over the last handful of weeks, even since we've been off. I think with a veteran player, anybody of his magnitude, or really just with the amount of experience, you want to be smart with, following some pitch counts and different things like that. But, he's going to be ready to go. But we will be smart with what that workload looks like within our, 4 and 3 day week increments.
Sean, he almost seemed during the spring. He almost seemed like pleasantly irritated that he wasn't throwing.
Pleasantly irritated.
More so,
no, he was freaking irritated.
More so than like the concern. So I'm wondering if you could take us inside a little bit more to what that's been like, management of veterans such as himself, when there was the anti-inflammatory, but also what that's been like as you guys have navigated this new world with your sports science.
Yeah, he's, in a lot of instances with somebody that's accumulated his experience, Jordan, you really rely heavily on the feedback he's given. And he's so tough, and he pushed through so much in terms of that thing nagging him really throughout the year, but he'll never use that as a crutch or an excuse. I think that's just as who he is and how he's wired as a competitor. He wants it to feel better, but he's going to be able to work through it. But I think his ability to communicate to us, working with Reggie, is going to be an instrumental part of him feeling good for September 8th, like we talked about. But, just like great shooters and pitchers, quarterbacks need to throw. You got to be able to get that work in. And no matter how great you are, like Matthew is, those reps do matter, and you want to be able to accumulate them the right way. The offseason was different than anything else, and I think because of the amount of injuries really for our team or guys that had corrective surgeries, we wanted to be intentional about really focusing on, hey, how do we walk through, how do we really digest the foundations of our systems offensively, defensively, and on special teams the right way, and then how can we teach these guys to drill? It's going to feel very different, as you guys know, once we start getting into these competitive settings, and there still will be a progressive build-up to that, but we're expecting to, see some real football 11-on-11 action on Sunday, even though it is in the acclimation phase, if you will, still.
In the previous seasons, we've talked about how hard it is just to maintain a winning team in this league every year, and how you have to avoid complacency and stuff like that. It's been so long since there's been a repeat champion in the NFL. Why do you think that is, and what can you do to address that?
Well, I just think, I'll tell you what, I think it's because of the competitiveness of this league, Greg. It's so many things have to go right. Like we could be a better team this year, and I think we've got a chance to do that. And it might not mean, we win a Super Bowl, because there are a lot of things that take place throughout the course of a game where bounce of a ball here or, certain things that are out of your control. But I think, being able to stay healthy, focus on the controllables, and then really how do we have, whatever the event is, how do we have appropriate responses that then can affect the outcome in a positive way for us? And so it's the cliche thing, but I think it really has served us well. And I truly believe it in my heart that, hey, we're not worried about winning a Super Bowl today. We're worried about stacking blocks the right way so that we can peak on September 8th and then be ready to adjust or adapt accordingly as we navigate the 17 games in the regular season.
The last time you guys played in a Super Bowl before this year, back in 18.
Don't remind me of that.
I was just saying, but you played in a Super Bowl, and the next season, for a variety of reasons, didn't go the way you anticipated. Are you concerned at all about a Super Bowl hangover?
No, I think what I have a respect for is how competitive this league is, and so whether it's a hangover, like to me, what that entails is guys think they're better than they are. They stop working the right way. Complacency sets in, and the previous success you think is going to have anything to do with your future success. We got the right kind of guys in our locker room, right kind of coaches that are intrinsically motivated. They care about each other enough to not want to let each other down. So I don't worry about that. But what I do think is all those experiences have been valuable information to gather on understanding how do you avoid some of those pitfalls with the things that I can control as a coach. How do we make sure we're continuing to stay ahead of the curve from a schematic standpoint, emphasizing the types of guys that we want in our locker room that embody that mental and physical toughness. And so there's so much that goes into it. 9-7, there was a lot of teams, that was some uncharacteristic things in that 2019 year that you alluded to, but I don't think that had anything to do with guys not wanting to do it the right way. We just didn't come up with the results, and there was a lot of reasons for that. But the hangover, no. I think the respect for the competitiveness of this league from the players and the coaches, absolutely, and that's why you got to earn that confidence.
Coach, last night there was a video you opening the box, and now wow, like what was going through your mind?
Probably had too much to drink before then to really be able to tell you. But no, I'll tell you what, I had seen some pictures of it before, and in person just, blown away by it. Really, I'm glad you asked about that, Sean, because credit to Jason of Beverly Hills and his group. They did such a great job, and really Tony Pastors was instrumental in really facilitating a really smooth process. It was a great night. It's one of those deals, it's like wearing a trophy. So this thing is something that you always cherish, but I don't know how often we'll be able to wear it.
Talk about the culture. Will it be hard to build that same culture without Andrew Whitworth, who will step into that role? I know that's really important to you.
Yeah, Andrew is a special guy. He means so much to me for so many different reasons. But I think what he has done is done a great job of setting an example where guys can still be themselves. You know, we don't need Rob Havenstein to be Andrew Whitworth. We want Rob Havenstein to be Rob Havenstein, and he's got great capacity to be a leader, veteran player that's played at a really high level. I think you're going to see guys like David Edwards and Brian Allen continue to take steps in the right direction. Coleman Shelton's played a lot of really good football for us, and then I'm really excited about Joseph Noteboom. I think he's had a great offseason. Whenever he's played, he's really played at a high level, and then we're going to see how the other spots that are kind of going to be competed for unfold. But Rob is a guy, and then there's other guys that have great leadership capacity, and I think it's about that entire room, and Carberry does an excellent job as well.
Anything you want to say just about the fans, how they'll respond coming to go watch the Super Bowl team after it's been so long back here in LA? What work will you do to continue to expand that fan base here?
Yeah, well, I think you want to be, great ambassadors for the community. But I think the way that our guys play and perform, I think, is a team that people enjoy. There's a joy, there's a connection, there's a camaraderie. When you listen to things like mic'd up games, you can't fake the way these guys enjoy each other. And I think people are drawn to that. And so, our job is to put out the best product, to have the right kinds of people that handle themselves the right way on the field and off the field. And I think that attracts people to want to be a part of it. And we're going to continue to work as hard as we possibly can to do that.
Sean,
Couple more, guys.
Of your younger players and even some of the guys who might have had a bit of a redshirt season last year, who are you expecting to take a step forward, and who do you need to take a step forward?
I think all of them. I mean, really, I think everybody's got to be able to get better. I mean, there's certain guys that I'm excited the way that they approach the offseason, taking steps in the right direction, whether, the guys that come to mind are Robert Rochelle, Tutu Atwell, you guys heard me talk about, but there's a lot of guys that have done really good things, and so I think to single anybody out, that's the whole point of camp, which we're really excited about, is seeing some of these competitions unfold, see guys really compete to the best of their ability, and whether that's first year, second year, or guys going into their 10th year, we want to see guys continue to take steps in the right direction so we can be the best team we can possibly be.
Coach, you got 2 rings this offseason. How different are you now? What's different about
That's a tricky question. You might get me in trouble. No, you know what? I feel like I've been married because we've been engaged for so long and had to put it off thanks to COVID. But I couldn't have asked for a better wife, and the support. I don't think it's by coincidence that so many things have gone well in my life since she came into my life. She's such a steadying force for me. She's got such a sweet nature and disposition, but also, just an amazing ability to be able to kind of keep me in line, if you will. And so I love her so much, and then being able to go through that. I mean, you talk about, really the things that matter the most in your personal life, being able to kind of celebrate that with people you care about, and then your professional life. So they've both been very special in different ways.
Sean, one guy.
Can you,
I'll get you after this.
seeing your offense, can you guys still be more explosive than you were last season?
That's the goal. I think for us, the goal is always to be explosive and efficient, Dennis. And I think we got to be much more efficient running the football. There's a lot of things that we did do well, especially throwing the football to create some of those explosives. But there's a lot of stuff that when you go back and look, you say there's improvement to be had. No, you don't minimize how tough these defensive structures are in the landscape of the league and where that's going. But I do expect us to be better. That's always the goal. That's why you work at it the way that you do. We don't have the kind of guys that I worry about complacency setting in. But if you're explosive and you stop explosives on defense, that's a huge indicator of winning and losing games in this league. And it's going to be a huge point of emphasis for us again.
One guy that seems hard, it's a little hard to get him to take a day off to work up.
Yes.
What are the conversations with him about being smart with your body and how it's a very long season? I know he's gotten hurt before, but
Sure.
After the Super Bowl and a long season.
Sir, he's so conscientious that, he understands that. And I think, whether it's him or a guy like Aaron Donald, it's understanding the sports science and educating them that it's not, you're not being lazy by, letting your body recover. And so I think he really has a great feel for how to work smart, work hard, but work efficiently. And I think that's really one of the goals that we try to educate our guys on. But when you have people that are as conscientious as you talked about with Cooper, he kind of figures it out, and he's so smart. He's got a plan in place, but then he's also so interested in learning and acquiring knowledge, and that's what the best people in any walk of life that you meet are. They're never-ending learners. They're always trying to find out, hey, even if I'm at the top of my game, how can I continue to do things better over a sustained period of time? And Cooper's always taken that approach, and so he's very aware and understands that, even though he knows he wants to naturally work, and kind of grind himself down. But he's really smart about that.
Any comment on that moment at the ESPYs with Klitschko when he won that award, what it meant to you and your wife? I know it's been a tough offseason.
Yeah.
Happening in Ukraine to be there, and I'm sure she was touched by that.
Yeah, very touched. And I think when you see that, what a great ambassador, just like Zelensky's leadership. I think those two guys embody their culture, where they fight for something. I mean, you just see the passion, the purpose behind really defending your country, and the way that those people have rallied together in what everybody thought would be a quick thing. And they've stood their ground. They're really a mentally tough group of people. That's part of my family now, and so it was touching, very well deserved. And I think what you see, I've always been a big leader, a big feel of no such thing as bad teams, only bad leaders. And I think the leadership that you're seeing from Zelensky and people like Klitschko is such a great reflection of what makes that country so special.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Sean.